So first and foremost, I love the exhaust here. It's just really sporty and throaty without being too much. Especially on a Camry, you don't want something that sounds like a, I don't know, like a tin can. So I'm really impressed by that exhaust. But even the sport mode, just really fun. And really where the paddle shifters come into play, or shifting manually, it's just, you can really control this transmission. That's one thing I like about it. Now in the auto mode, it's decent, but in the sport mode, it had to figure out what gear to be in. And like when I manually shift, just boom, boom, boom. So really, really fun to drive. And I just love the sound. It just has such a sporty sound. And if you want to drive it like that, because you want to be loud, you can do that too. See these downshifts. Now it's still not a stick, so you don't have full control, but it's good enough. And I will say, and I've driven a TRD in the past, the ride is specifically stiff, but not at all uncomfortable, because this is how I want a sports car to feel. And I mean, I'm pushing 301 horsepower with this car. Really good look. Just exterior aesthetics. Love the spoiler, the rear diffuser, and then having that front bottom spoiler. It just looks so aggressive. But I also like its subtleties as well. If you know cars, you'd be like, dang, that's a TRD. But if you don't, it's not attracting unwanted attention. Like if you're in a Mustang or something, but it's still relatively fast. Because all the Toyota V6s and the Camrys are pretty fast anyways. But the big thing for me is just how nice and just refined the engine and exhaust sound is. Like it's not an aftermarket sound, but it still sounds like a premium sports car. And really just like with the stiffer drive feel, I took two other 23 Camrys, an SE and an LE, on this same road, and the ride was not nearly as refined. Now it was smoother, but still this TRD, it's just smooth and stiff at the same time. It's kind of hard to explain, but I can feel everything in the steering wheel, which is what I want, especially in the sport mode, just being able to feel the road. I feel like I could take this thing on a track and do just fine. So very impressed. And another thing, this is one of those cars where because the exhaust and engine sound so good, you really just want to put your foot in it at all times. So it's nice to have that eco mode there to kind of keep you at bay, because if you put it in sport mode, you're gonna want to go. And really, it's strange. The noise from the tires is not bad at all. Like I feel like it feels the same as those other two Camrys I just drove. It could all be in my head, but it's definitely not bothering me at all. And now you do get a brake hold, but I don't think you get auto stop with this. But just really quick on his feet. And let's give this thing some throttle. Yeah, this thing pulls, man. It pulls really, really well. I'm gonna put it into eco mode now. Put the lane tracing and everything on. And another thing I like about Toyota's Safety Sense is the lane tracing comes on very quickly, and it tends not to be buggy in the least. I know I have a Mustang Mach-E, and with the lane centering on that, a lot of the times it'll just be like, I don't want to work right now. And this just doesn't have that issue, at least not that I'm aware of. And let me just say, even with the stiffer ride, I'm so impressed with how the ride is not overly rough. Like coming down the interstate here, this feels really, really nice. And that exhaust just sounds so good. But overall, for this kind of car, I think you have to be in the market for something that's got the Toyota reliability, no turbo, just a naturally aspirated V6 that's still kind of fun to drive, because it's not cheap for this. As opposed to getting an LE Camry, you're gonna spend quite a bit more. But I mean, it's still, if somebody gave me one, I'd have a great time. It can be a bit pricey for a Camry though. And it's really not, it's not like super money or something like that, but it's still expensive for, you know, what people consider to be a commuter car, a very good commuter car with decades of experience. But like I said, you have to have the right buyer for this, because me personally, I love the car. There are just other options out there if you want something sporty. You kind of have to be a hybrid. It's kind of weird. You gotta want something that's flashy, that's relatively fast, but also practical, and it's not necessarily a head turner like maybe a Supra would be, or a Camaro, or something along those lines. But still, just a really, for a Camry, it does some damage. It really does. This thing is no slouch. And just very impressed all the way around with how easy it is to drive, how fun it is to drive, but also with how capable it is for this segment. That exhaust, oh, sounds so good. But definitely for me, I mean, it's a Camry, but honestly, for how it drives, how it sounds, just a great option. And this will bring me to the end of my review of the 2023 Toyota Camry TRD.